Welcome, everyone, to episode 57 of the Circle Back Podcast, the show where three great friends get together and just talk about video games. I'm Dan LaMarca. As always, I'm joined by Dan Dufresnoy.
Hey, everybody.
And Shelby White.
How we doing?
Dan, welcome back. We
Thank
missed
you.
you.
I wanted to give you guys a reprieve, especially our listeners.
How was your dragon rot?
It was just horrible. It was actually the worst I've ever felt in my life.
You're so lucky I had a droplet.
Yeah, I know. Seriously.
No, seriously. We're glad to have you back.
Thank you. It's good to be back.
Poor Dan was on his deathbed, but
It was horrible, but I'm okay now.
he made it back.
I made it back.
He made it back.
I just need some of that sake, and that was good.
Yeah. Which I'll give you the monkey booze.
All right. Yeah, man. There you go.
Um,
No, good to be back, guys. Thank you.
Yeah. So today it's pretty much just going to be a bunch of games. Basically it's been a month and a half for Dan since he was able to talk about what games he's been playing. And for me, I mean, there's a bunch of new stuff out that I've been messing around with. So before we do anything like that, Dan, I want to hear Sekiro update.
Yeah. Okay.
Because we know that I beat it. Shelby dies twice. He's, cruising through.
Yeah.
So I want to know where you're at.
Yeah, I don't want to spoil. Last time we talked, I know you said it was okay if I mentioned. Last time we talked, I was up to, the guy who kills you in the beginning, cut your arm off, Kenichiro. I got up to his fight.
You were at his fight.
I was at his fight. I was having a really, really hard time. I was stuck for maybe a few weeks trying to get through it. So I'm going to tell you a story. So when I was a kid and my parents were teaching me to ride a bike, right? I couldn't get the hang of it. I was riding my bike and I kept falling off, and I took a month off of practicing. And then the moment I picked the bike up again, I just snapped my finger, if anybody could hear it. I was able to ride the bike, and it was perfect. So I thought that this
was a Christmas miracle.
Yeah.
So you're thinking the same thing.
That's what I did with Kenichiro. So I was losing, I was figuring it out, and I couldn't do it. So I took a few days off. And when I went back to fight him, I lost. It took me 10 more times to get it, but I got the hang of it and I beat him, and I've just kind of been cruising since then. Not that the game's been getting any easier.
But he was kind of the wall you were at.
He was the wall, and I think for me, and this is why I love this game so much, and I love From Software, it was having to retrain my tolerance for taking your time and patience and learning to parry and things like that, which are things that I already picked up. But I feel for me, he was all right, no, you really got to be on your game, and you really got to remember all these things. You can't just kind of the final. You can't be sloppy. Yeah,
well,
and
that's kind of what he is. That's just the purpose he serves, right?
Yeah.
He gives you a lot of different stuff. You need to know every little thing.
Well, he's got a ranged it because I'm up to him. I haven't beaten him. I'm up to him right now.
I've been watching
it.
Yeah.
So he's got a ranged attack. He beats your ass up front. It's tough.
He's an amalgamation of every little thing.
Right.
It seems each enemy that you've come up to, even the mini bosses.
Right.
And this is way early in the game. I don't think it's spoiling. There's one guy with a spear where you learn the Mikiri counter and things like that.
Yeah.
It seems every mini boss had a certain thing that
specialty.
That if you master that, you're good. He's
he takes everything.
He's got everything.
So he was a real challenge. And then after that, now where I am, I'm not going to give any spoilers, but I'm in the last area of the game. I fought the first major boss in that area. Dan's telling me I'm very, very close to the end.
Yep.
But after I beat him, I kind of retrained my body and my brain to how I'm gonna fight these guys, and it's really just been so much fun. And there's certain bosses, but maybe one day we'll have a
we're gonna do a
talk
spoiler,
because there's a few bosses that I want to talk about, because seriously, I mean, some of the best boss fights I've ever played in a game.
Yeah. Pretty fucking cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the way that Shelby has kind of been handling it is the best way, in my opinion, to be hey, I fought Kenichiro a couple times, couldn't take him down. I'm going to go in a different direction. And at that point where you can get to him,
branches,
there's so many different branches.
Yeah.
So he's just kind of exploring, going into different spots. He's at Tempu Temple, took down a couple bosses there. So it's nice just to be hey,
I know. I was
don't get stuck and stick with him.
I was fighting him. I probably fought him maybe 5 times, and then I was losing. And then the next 2 episodes of the show didn't even go back to him.
Right.
I did so much exploration.
There's enough to do. Did you go to the Sunken Valley yet?
That's where
I'm in the Sunken Valley, I think. Or I was. I don't remember.
Yeah, so I think what happened was you were at Senpu Temple. He basically did Sunken Valley, Senpu Temple, back and forth. And most recently, he's in the Sunken Valley.
Okay.
He actually he's in the Gun Fort.
Okay. All right.
Like he's in it
I'm
already.
very excited.
Yeah.
Just like I can't wait.
Yeah.
There's
Great.
Some cool stuff coming.
I
Some
can't-
cool stuff
I can't.
coming.
Did you help in Senpu Temple? You help my friend Kutaro?
He actually didn't even meet him.
Nope.
Ah,
Walked right by.
That's my buddy.
Not sure.
He could always go back. We'll see
Yeah.
what happens.
That's my buddy.
Yeah, it's funny because, talking candidly, when I'm doing this series with him, I'm like, how much do I point him in a
Yeah,
certain
yeah.
direction?
Right. You want him to have his
I
own
want him to have
experience.
his own experience. And then I thought that maybe like once we start getting a little closer to the end or whatever, I might be like, hey, let's go back and check out some stuff that you may have missed.
Because that's what I love from software games is like there's just so much. To me, the intrigue, even though this game has more of like a narrative as opposed to the other games, there's still so much like environmental storytelling and so many characters that you're just like, what's your story?
Yeah.
And you don't figure it out, but like it's just super interesting to me, and I love it very much.
Shelby recently in Senpu Temple, he got to this. Do you know those guys that like puke out crickets in Senpu Temple?
Oh yeah.
They're, like,
Yeah,
sitting
he was
there.
just doing yoga.
and so this guy-
when you go up the ceiling.
Oh
and
my
like,
god.
Yeah, but so basically he comes across one, he kills it, it comes back alive. He's like, what the hell is this thing? Like, didn't worry, moved on. And then he got the one, there's this little courtyard with rats on the roof.
Okay.
And then inside that building is one of those guys, but he has the centipede that comes out of him.
It's horrible.
It was so
So horrible. Because I was on I made it so far since last saving. Or last doing a thing.
And you had no more
and I had
like gourds.
no gourds. I had like half health. Like I was so afraid to attack this guy, and I wound up getting him. But
It was just so.
it was
Those are those
frightening.
moments though where you're just like, oh, do I
Frightening.
run back? Do
Yeah.
I? Yeah.
Oh, so
I was
freaking
just sitting there. I was
awesome.
like, I don't want to go near him.
Oh man.
Yeah. I'm like, you got this. Get in
He
there.
was like, you can get him. I was like, yeah, I can't do it.
Oh my gosh. Are you enjoying it though? Like, are you having fun?
No, yeah, it's a ton of fun.
I think it's like for me and I was telling this to my sister when I was fighting the boss at the last area because I was having trouble at first and then like became one of my favorite bosses because like once you learn the trick, it's just outwitting that character and it's just like really it becomes fun. It becomes like I know how to do that. That's the best feeling. It's like I know how to do this. You just gotta be perfect at it.
Yeah, I know. When I first saw the bull, I just kept running away from it.
Yeah.
I was like, what do I do with this thing? I have no
Yeah.
idea.
That's what it is.
There is no better feeling on my game. I didn't even mean to parry the bull, but I parried the bull, and it like throws him off so much when you parry. I don't know if you guys parried him. It gives him like half posture. He,
no way.
He like rolls like it's
Oh,
nuts.
nice.
I did a completely different method.
Yeah.
I ran and I tried to run him into a corner each time. I just ran and then once he was in a
And
corner, then
sticking him in the
Did
butt.
that.
and then do it again. It took me like 10 minutes.
But yeah. Anyway, we can't really talk too many specifics about
Yeah.
the game.
I would
but
love to do like a spoiler
Yeah.
cast because there's just so
yeah,
many.
we should
will.
totally do it. Once,
We will.
yeah,
Some of
once
the best
all
moments.
3 of us are through it. I think that'd be a lot of fun. Plus, I mean, when Game of the Year time comes, we're gonna spoil the hell out of this game.
Yeah, I already have a feeling. It's already my game of the year.
Yeah.
Like from now. Maybe
Right.
there's another game, but
All right, so that's Sekiro, our little Sekiro check-in because
Yeah.
that's what we talk about on the show this year. Dan or Shelby, I'm sorry. Oh no, you were playing.
Oh.
I played a little bit of Katana Zero,
oh okay,
but I didn't play much,
okay.
and
beat
there's
it.
a reason for it. You beat it?
I beat it. The
Okay,
whole thing.
I want to hear your opinion first.
Okay, so for those of you that don't know Katana Zero,
Sell me on it because I want to play it, and then I just haven't.
okay, it's a 2D side-scrolling platformer-esque sort of thing, but the whole gimmick behind it is that you are in these certain areas, and if you get hit once, you're dead. And enemies are strategically placed so that they have guns, they have knives, they have things that can kill you. But each time you're in an area, you have to sort of, okay, well, if I hit this guy, then that's going to notify this guy, and he's going to shoot me. Okay, if I get that guy first, then that'll be okay. Nobody will be notified. You kind of just have to plan each stage, so you do one run through.
Anyone that's played Hotline Miami, this is 2D side-scrolling Hotline
There
Miami.
you go.
Like
And
it
you have-
really feels like it.
But you're a samurai, and it's cool
Yes.
because you have like these abilities, like this one move that you can slow down time. So if someone shoots a gun at you, you can slow down time.
Jump over the bullet,
You can
deflect
jump over
it.
the bullet. You can hit the bullet back. There's another move where you can. No, I think that's the only move. I think I'm trying to think.
Yeah, pretty much.
I'm thinking you could throw weapons.
There's
and
like
as,
things you pick up in the environment you could throw.
yeah, and as the game goes along, sometimes you really have to be strategic because like sometimes there's oil canisters and you have a Molotov cocktail, but like if you throw it too close, you die.
Yeah.
It's
like
all
super hot.
Yeah, kind of.
you really got to plan your moves, and but there is like a story and a narrative to it, and the appeal for me was it all started. It's just visually striking, and each area is very, very distinct.
Does it have that? I remember seeing the trailer on the Nindies thing. It was like neon-esque.
Yeah,
definitely.
Some areas very Blade Runner-esque, but then other areas like you're in a prison for one, and but like you're in a club for one, and it's cool because it really is like distinct, and each area feels like its own place. But there is a narrative to it, and I don't want to spoil anything yet, but it's very like Metal Gear Solid 2-esque for anybody that's played it or knows what I'm talking about. There's this kind of weird in your head, who are these people telling me to go, assassinate these people? You make a friend, and there's just a lot going on. I won't spoil it because there's not much to spoil. For anybody that actually have finished the game, we all have questions because the way that it ends, it's like, all right, what's next, sort of thing. So,
Katana 1.
So, what do you think of it overall, though?
Overall, I loved it. Overall, it was. I'm sorry, I got really excited. I really, really enjoyed it. I really liked the. I liked the challenge of it. I really, really liked being able to have to plan.
Problem solve.
It's kind of like playing like a Dark Souls or Bloodborne or Sekiro, where it's just the layout of the area. You got to plan it out. It's even like Super Meat Boy. I know you said you're playing that too, where like you have to plan out everything you do before you actually do it, and then you just got to do it perfectly. Yeah. And I really, really enjoyed that. And I found the story engaging too. I don't think this story-wise, I don't think it's for everybody. I think a lot of people, maybe it's a little too meta for people be like, what the heck, this is like ridiculous. But I really, really found it compelling, and I'm curious to see how the developer is going to handle the way that they ended the game.
Okay. I played the tutorial area, and then I played the first full chapter or area, whatever it is. And it's funny. It's kind of hitting me kind of how The Messenger hit me last year, where it was like, oh, this is really cool. And then I kind of started playing it, and I'm like, this is something that's just not clicking with me. I think I want to get through it anyway, just to get to the end, because I am interested with the little story hints they're dropping and stuff like that. But there's little things where like, so it feels good when you nail it, but it like plays back how you played that room.
Right. It's all in video, like the way that
it's like VHS, like rewind, fast forward kind of stuff. And it's a cool idea. And the first couple of times you do it, it's cool. But by the end, you're like, all right, it doesn't really look that, like what I did doesn't look that cool. So like, why are we rewatching at every room that we do?
Kind of like in Super Meat Boy, where they like show you all your deaths.
They don't show
again?
It's not the deaths. It's just your perfect run.
Oh,
like
okay.
your completed run.
Gotcha.
But I don't know. There's something about it. It's just not really hitting. It's a game that I thought I was going to be really into. It looks really cool.
Yeah.
But again, I'll have more thoughts when I finish the game. But right now, I'm kind of like, I kind of push it aside for other stuff because I was like, I'm not really feeling it.
I'm curious what you think of that, because it is very Metal Gear Solid 2, and it kind of leaves you with more questions than answers.
The other problem I have, and have either of you fully like played through Hotline Miami or no?
I've actually never played Hotline Miami.
So,
oh no, yeah, it's a great game.
What you're saying of like, who are the people calling me, telling me to do this and blah, 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 like they did that.
Yeah.
That's what's weird. Like, it really is a little weird to me how much
it is.
Yeah.
I gotta try Hotline.
Yeah, I think I want to do that for a Great Ones kind of thing.
Let's do that. So, yeah, I'd love to.
There you go.
I'd love to be a part of that
game for that.
I'd love to be a part of that.
But anyway, it is. It's doing some different things because Hotline Miami is very like grimy, grungy, like really violent on purpose. Like this has violence and it can get nasty, but not in the same way. Like that game is like frantic, fast paced. Like that's why I'm saying like when you're looking at the comparison, it's an easy comparison to make. But this kind of seems like I don't want to say a lesser version, but it's like it's kind of been done before, and I'm not enjoying this in the same way I enjoyed Hotline Miami.
I gotcha.
Personally.
Okay.
But that's not to take away from the game. I really want to get through it just to see how.
Yeah, just I'm curious your opinion, because
it's not that long. Right? It's like five hours, something like that.
Yeah, no, but
not even
maybe like 5-6 hours. But like, there's more. It isn't even. There's some levels that aren't even. side-scrolling platforming. There's an area where like you're on a motorcycle, and there's another area where you're running from the cops. Like there's a lot of like things.
Well, that's cool. At least that sounds
like that. They do break it up. See, and that's what the appeal to me was. Like they break it up enough so that it's not the same monotonous.
That's good. That sounds good though. I'm glad to hear that. It makes me want to at least try. Try to get through it.
But again, I'd like to we'll converse when you beat it because like I feel like there's just so much that I'm like. Okay. Oh, what's that? Why did that happen? Who's that person? Yeah. So we'll see.
All right, cool. That's Katana Zero. Dan, I know we had talked about it, but you weren't here. Yoshi's Crafted World you've been playing.
Yeah.
So anything new you want to add that
No, you hit the nail on the head. So I really did like Yoshi's Woolly World. I enjoyed that because there was something about. I know Shelby, we share the fondness for like collecting everything and stuff like that. So
total collect
Yoshi's
fun.
Woolly World was awesome because like you would have to collect different like colored like Yoshis and there's like 100
like Jinjos.
Yes, Jinjo. So I don't know. Yoshi's Woolly World kind of made the collecting fun. This game, me and my sister have played it, a few times, and we do a few levels each time, and then we're just like, let's go to the next thing because it's kind of not. There's nothing pulling me back to play. I mean, other than Yoshi, and I love Yoshi, and I really like the aesthetic. It's like cardboard. And there's some really cool like depth perception things that they do. But
there's just not that much there. Like
other than that, even the levels, it's kind of just not too much
lacking
to
substance.
do. They do have like the Poochie levels where like you can like go back to levels and like catch Poochie, and Poochie's adorable, so I'll protect them with my life. But there's really not much.
Yeah, it was upsetting
there, which is okay because that's
what I'm saying. For what it is and what it's supposed to be, I think it's doing a really good job, but you always have that thought of like, oh, maybe there's some depth that, you know what I mean? Like, look at Yoshi's Island. That looks like a kid's game. It's a really good platformer.
Yoshi's Island's one of the all-time.
So you're always like hoping for that kind of thing. Even the Mario games, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like you talk about 3D World, the first like the actual 8 worlds of the game or whatever it is are like kind of an easier, just run through, play Mario game. And then you have like all the unlocks afterwards with the spaceship or whatever. And it's like, then all of a sudden they're really hard, really awesome levels. It's like you're hoping for something like that with this, and it's just not there.
Just never happens.
But again, I don't think it advertised itself for anything.
It doesn't,
more, and that's okay.
Yeah,
that's okay. There'll never be a greater Yoshi game than the original Yoshi's Island, and I don't.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't think I've ever been.
It sounds like this game would benefit more from. I mean, I know it's brand new, but a lower price point.
Oh,
and, but that never happens with Nintendo. That's
Nintendo with their $60.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the other thing. Yeah. I mean, I think there is a lot of stuff in the game. It's just not like challenging or like enjoyable to go through everything for someone like us. It's like, if you're gonna buy a kid's game for $60, a kid might put 20 hours into this and love every minute.
Well, that's
of it,
exactly it. I'm playing Sekiro and Yoshi's Crafted World at the same time, and But that's why I'm not.
You're at both ends of the spectrum.
But that's why I'm not like. But that's why I'm not upset by it because it's just like I kind of knew what I was getting into. It's cute and it's just kind of like you said it on the podcast last week, just kind of like mindless and like that's okay every now and then. But
and that's what I said. There's nothing wrong with it. I just don't think for me to spend $60 on. I don't think that's a good purchase.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
no, I agree.
I agree with that.
All right, that was Yoshi's Crafted World. Shelby, any update on the Surge? Have you been playing it still?
Yeah, I've passed 2 more sections of the game.
Oh yeah.
So I feel like I'm
taking down a bunch of bosses.
Yeah, you know what? And now that I'm going through it, like the first area was a little difficult for me to get the hang of everything, and I was kind of cruising through it. And then it was definitely much smaller than the second and third area.
Oh
in size, like way smaller. And in a not so much like a Dark Souls, there aren't a lot of mini bosses as there are just a slightly higher difficulty with the regular guys you come across.
Okay.
Sometimes.
Because in other Dark Souls and games and stuff, there are no mini bosses.
Oh, that's
just a Sekiro thing.
Oh, okay, all right.
It was always just fog door, walk through. There's a boss with a big old health bar, big boss.
Okay, all right. So this one, like at the end of every area, you find this giant boss,
right?
And that's what tends to happen, and they give you some cool weapon afterwards that whatever they were using, you get, sort of thing. And like we were talking about last time, you can come across. Like I started coming across in the second area these guys with staves that just whooped your ass, and like if you were able to go 1-on-1 with them, That's how I had to take it on. But there were two of them standing right next to each other, and if you aggravated one, the other one all aggro on your ass too. And it was just like, these are impossible. But they had sick armor and sick weapons, and I was like, I need to isolate them,
knock
and
it off,
get the helmet and get the weapon.
That is such a cool mechanic.
Was
I really want to
awesome.
play this game.
That sounds
cool.
awesome. When did it come out?
2015 or 16.
Yeah, it was only like a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
And I'm
Maybe
having a good time with it. The one thing I'm really noticing though is the character development. Like, you just got to play this game for the gameplay, because the main
There's
character,
nothing.
like after I was talking about the whole appeal of him in the beginning, like oh, this is pretty cool, whatever. The guy is a bore fest. Like he just doesn't talk to like you converse with some people you find, and that's it. And they don't really. You just kind of ask them questions. You get like a directional pad, like what question you want to ask them, but you just exhaust all the options anyway, and that's it. Like I haven't found out anything really that's happened yet, and I feel like I'm halfway through the game. So the gameplay alone is what's awesome for me. But I'm having a great time with it.
That's great.
It's sick.
I'm telling you, I really do want to play it.
Yeah.
Because I only played a little bit when it came out. And I enjoyed it. I just moved on and then never went back.
Yeah. No, it's fun for sure. Just don't expect a supremely engaging story.
Right. All right. Well, that's a surge. I've been playing an older game too, but in the form of a new trilogy on the Switch, the Phoenix Wright Trilogy.
Oh.
I had never,
Ace Attorney?
I had never played the Phoenix Wright games ever, any of them.
And I saw they had that trilogy.
Yeah, so they had the trilogy. It was $30. 3 main games, and they're fucking awesome.
Yeah?
These games are really good. They're it's basically an adventure game where you're playing as Phoenix Wright, obviously.
Ace Attorney.
But it's all about like
I like his hair.
He's
always pointing on the cover.
All the
accusing somebody.
I love how many times the people in this game talk about his hair, like shut up, porcupine, like crazy shit all the time.
I didn't know that. That's awesome.
I'm telling you, it's awesome. And he'll look in the mirror and be like, my hair nice and pointy the way I like it. Like it is so. I'm telling you, the writing in these games are awesome. It is just so silly. There's stuff that make it show its age as far as adventure games, because adventure games have come a long way since this. Like you have to go from area to area to area. Like you can't it's not just one list of areas and you can choose. It's like you have to back out and then it opens up 2 more and then back out and then opens up 2 more and then back. You know what I mean? It's kind of a pain in the ass. But for the stories and the writing alone and the moments, it is just such a fun, silly game. They really have good writing.
That's awesome.
The dialogue itself is great, and then the overarching story and how the different cases interact with each other that you don't expect is really, really neat.
So do you control this character, or you just control options?
I'll tell you. It's basically like a classic adventure game kind of thing. So it's like when you're looking for evidence, you go to the crime scene, and it's like a still frame of the crime scene, and then you hover over things and hit A on them, and it'll like zoom in and say something, and then you basically try to figure out,
build a case.
Yeah, you're building a case. Yeah. You're talking. You're going through dialogue options, trying to get people on. And then in the courtroom, it's the same thing. It's like you can present evidence that contradicts witness testimony, and then they'll like get all flustered. And one of my favorite things about this game is, so you're basically looking at like a very slightly animated like portrait of somebody when they're on like the witness stand or something. So they're like standing there, you see their from shoulders up or whatever, and they'll be like smiling. They have like one little animation or something, and as you like get them on lies, they become like monsters. Like they'll like get huge eyes and like crazy, because it's super anime. It's so good. But I'm telling you, like this for $30, I'm still only on the first game because I'm kind of just like plucking away, but I probably put 5, 6, 7 hours into it. And
it's a trilogy, right? So $10 a game, $30.
That's what I'm saying.
Great.
And they're just really good. Yeah. Like I really would recommend them as a fun, like if you're looking for something on the Switch. They're really, really cool. And I had always heard people say like they really like them, but I just never got into. I never even tried them back when.
Can you like fail the case or like lose the case? Like if you don't do it right?
I don't know what happens, but I know that you can, because there's basically a meter. That's like the judge's opinion of you, and as you like if you call somebody out like objection, and he'll
Classic,
like scream it out, and then the judge will be like, that doesn't really contradict what they're saying, and he's like, yeah, I guess you're right. I didn't know. And then like the bar,
I just like that word.
the bar of like the judge's like opinion of you goes down a little bit, and I'm assuming when it gets empty, you lose, but
That's funny.
it's just full of really great characters and honestly really cool twists and turns like that you don't expect to happen in the story. Like it's really good.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's really really good. So yeah, that's a Phoenix Wright Trilogy on Switch. Just came out probably a month or so ago, a couple weeks ago.
Cool.
Nice.
Also, I've been playing a game that came out a few weeks ago, Risk of Rain 2. You guys know what this game is?
No, never.
So the original Risk of Rain was like a super, I don't want to say a super popular game, but like in its niche, like everybody loved this game. Like people talk about it all the time. It's basically a co-op roguelike where as you play, the time like ticks, it increases the difficulty like based on how long you've been on this run.
Okay.
So you're literally playing like 4-player co-op or however many players, and you each have your own builds. It's very roguelike in a way of like you'll find it, you'll open a chest, find an item, it'll be like, oh, now you have chain lightning on your attacks. Now you'll have this, blah, blah, blah. But the original Risk of Rain is a 2D side scroller.
The original one is.
Yes. So this game comes out and it's the same type of game, but it's a 3D third person behind the back like shooter kind of thing.
Oh, that's cool.
And so, fans of the game were like, what the hell? Like, we love that first game. But then they started playing it, and they're like, oh, it's actually really good at what it is. I don't think it's my kind of game. And I don't know if that's because I'm not playing it with anyone. I'm playing it solo. Mm-hmm. And I think maybe it's intended to be played in a group. But
do you have a certain amount of teammates and stuff, or can that be ever expanding?
So I think it's 4, like you can play with 4 people.
Okay.
And it's co-op, like you invite them to the game, you play. And I think it does scale the difficulty based on the amount of players. But me playing by myself, it's just a little bland. And I know it just came out and it's in early access, so they can, add a lot of stuff to this game or whatever. But, the gameplay feels pretty good. There's some interesting enemy design. Like there's nothing I can really say that I don't like about it. It's just not something that I want to keep coming back to. We talk about like a game like Slay the Spire or Into the Breach or something where it's like I want to keep coming back to play it. Mm-hmm. And this isn't doing it for me. But, like I said, certainly nothing bad I have to say about it. I'd be curious if I played with friends what I would think because, it is that type of game where it's like you're just kind of running through, killing enemies, upgrading your guy, like whatever. But there's a lot of cool stuff in it. I just haven't got really pulled in.
And you play with people online, or can you do local play?
I think it's only online. I don't know that though.
I don't say perhaps down the line it's a friends and foes opportunity.
Yeah,
friends and foes.
We might actually be able to. I'll have to check if you can do it local.
I just want to play Gang Beasts all day. Actually.
I got it. I had to play it. I was like, I gotta play this game again.
You guys are ruining content from future.
Oh yeah, I forgot.
No, it was actually cracking me up because you just talked about Slay the Spire again, and I was rolling through the PlayStation Store, and it was like, oh, if you like this, you'll like this. Yeah. And Slay the Spire, it was like, Slay the Spire for fans of NBA Jam. And I was like, what? And it said, because it's a 3v3
I think that
battle
was Pyre. That's Pyre.
Oh, maybe it was Pyre. All right. Because
that is hilarious. Yeah. I love that.
Still,
it was like 3v3 battle.
That's
all right,
so good.
So Pyre.
Because we always said, I even made that joke, is like the actual combat in Pyre really was like NBA Jam.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Pass the ball.
Then they're right.
Dunk it.
Mm-hmm. I mean, people that just play NBA Jam probably won't enjoy the nice story and
the Oregon Trail
of Fire.
But if you like the Oregon Trail, you might like it.
Yeah. Oh, that's really fun.
Now you gotta like Oregon Trail and NBA Jam.
I know.
That's the perfect combination.
All right, Shelby. I know you also have been running through Cuphead. How you doing on that?
Yeah. So I've been playing Cuphead, and it's difficult, man. But it's so much fun. I just got to Inkwell Island 3.
Nice.
And
oh, you're cooking.
I was having a problem with the bird. Oh, not the bird, the dragon.
Yeah.
The dragon was killer. And I was like, this. I would literally get to as close as you can get to the end and die every time.
Oh,
and I was like,
he's really
destroying my life right now. I was so mad.
Dude,
I played for like 2 hours straight just to beat this guy because I was so mad. But it's so fun. At the same time, I'm like, oh, that's such bullshit. All right, I gotta go in.
It's just so cool to look at.
I know. But all the bosses are absolutely, the animations are incredible.
Oh,
I mean,
know.
as you guys know, obviously.
Who's your favorite boss so far?
I like the genie guy.
It's hard,
you know.
Genie's
the genie guy's cool.
everyone's
He's
favorite.
got so much stuff going on.
And that background is so
the
good.
The background is so
it's just that
good.
spinning pyramid video, like old video.
That's really
They're
cool.
so good. I like that one. The runs get really hard. The running guns. I had a big problem with the one where you like hit the card and you go upside down.
Yeah, I remember that.
Like I was doing that
one.
Yeah, the circus one, and I was just having such an issue with it because I didn't realize you could like shoot some of the enemies and get rid of them. So I was just like trying to hop around, and then like you jump up, you hit the thing, and then you go down a little bit and then back up, and I kept like the whole point of me hitting this thing is so that I could avoid these enemies, and I keep whacking into them when I'm trying to do this.
It's the gravity switch.
Yeah, it was killing me, but no, I figured it out.
That's why I thought it was so funny when we did our Friends and Foes episode, and we were just kind of running, like we killed a bunch of bosses.
Yeah, we were doing well.
And I was like, man, I remember this being really, really hard. Are we just good? And then it's good to know that you're still struggling.
Oh yeah, no, like there were some. I kind of because we went through that first area a little bit, and
Yeah.
I was like, all right, these enemies, I kind of know their
Right.
niche and stuff, and like I got through them, and then what are your favorite things to use?
Weapons?
Yeah, and stuff like that.
So by the end, I was using Lobber.
A lot.
That's
I
like
just
the
got
big-
Lobber. I
yeah.
haven't used it though.
I don't think I got past the first. I probably didn't get past the first island.
Oh,
Oh,
no?
yeah?
Oh,
yeah.
you
I never
didn't
beat
the game?
that the ladybug lady.
The ladybug.
Not the ladybug lady. The she turns on like the crescent moon.
Oh,
she starts like
yeah.
she was hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was real
Oh,
hard.
she's so cool, though.
I right now
is
when
she
I'm
not a
working on,
ladybug? What is she?
I don't know what she is. She might be a ladybug.
I don't remember.
I do remember her turning into a moon.
It's
though.
just a lady on
Yeah.
like a...
She was like rolling
unicycle,
around,
right?
and then she was like constellations and
Yeah,
stuff.
she changes
Yeah,
into a
you
bunch
know.
of stuff.
But what
She's
I've been using,
she's like the observatory, right? She's like
Yeah.
the top.
Yep.
yes,
Like, right?
yes. I've been using the dash that you disappear with the
Disappearing
dash.
one, yeah.
That is so friggin' useful.
Yeah, it's big.
Especially against the dragon, where I'm trying to like dash between the clouds
Yeah.
without hitting those fireballs and
Yep.
stuff. Like it was so useful. And then in the second part of the dragon, I started really using the green bullets that go wherever.
Yeah, because you can run to the right.
Because I can run
and
to the
it'll
other
still
way
shoot.
and shoot them
Yeah.
the whole time. Like that became so
The
convenient.
spread
But then I found,
is so good, though.
the spread's great
So
for
much
close
damage.
combat, but I couldn't get close to him in
Yeah.
that one. So it's like it's hit or miss with the enemies you go
That's
against.
why the
you know?
game is so good, is
Yeah.
because it makes you switch.
Yeah, you can't just
change your strategy.
Yep.
You don't just have, all right, this is the best one, I'm using it on everyone.
Exactly.
'cause you'll get
Can't do it.
crushed.
I love the green ones too for the running guns because I just shoot the whole time and I'm like, okay, boom, boom, that
Yep.
one's disappearing. But
Yeah.
then I hit all the parry enemies and I'm like,
Right.
fuck that one up. But no, it's a lot of fun. I'm really enjoying it. And like I said, I just got to the third island, and I think I fought the beehive thing.
Yeah. Oh, I love that fight.
Yeah.
It's
That was a tough one.
It's so cool, though. You didn't do the pirate ship yet, did
No,
you?
I did do the pirate ship
Okay.
actually. I beat that one.
I love that.
That's a fun one.
So good.
That's a real fun one. I love when the
I
shark
love
like
that
comes
game.
up behind you and
Yeah.
shit. And I was like, woo.
So good. All right. Well, that's Cuphead. I want to talk about a game that none of us have been playing. Days Gone.
Let's talk about Days Gone.
So
Why are we
Dan,
not playing it?
yeah. So Dan is gonna share some experience with you because he got to watch a friend play.
Yeah, I didn't actually
before-
hold the remote.
Yeah, but before we do that, I just want to say, Days Gone, we read the tea leaves months ago, maybe a year ago, and
Yeah.
said this may not be a very good game. When it came out, I read a bunch of stuff about it. I read a bunch of different reviews. I was just kind of seeing, because sometimes you see, there are so many games with like a, 70 Metacritic that I absolutely fucking love. So I'm like, I'm not just looking at the number and being like, oh, I don't want to play that.
Gotta read
Yeah.
the words.
So I'm trying to figure out, and what everybody's saying is like, oh, it's pretty good at the open world stuff, whatever. And it's like, if that's what it's getting points for, then I'm not interested. And it just makes me so frustrated that, first of all, I think numerical scores on video games are disappearing anyway. Like more and more outlets are just not doing it. But why the fuck is a game that a lot of people are saying is like outright a bad game, a 70 whatever? Like, what is going on? Like, the system is totally broken. Like, why is that? There should be, all right, if it's below like a mediocre game, then it should be in
well,
the
that's
fours.
the thing, because then, like you said, good games that are in the 70s, you know what I mean? Like,
That's
it
what
seems
I'm
like to be
saying.
like in these, reviewers' minds that like, oh, if it's a good game, it's got to be like over a 90. And
It's
I don't
so
think
bizarre
that's,
to me. I don't understand it. We would have such a more interesting, system
Mm-hmm.
if it was really like a bad game is below 4 or 5.
Right,
you know what I
right.
mean? Like, but nobody does that.
No.
They only do that with like Steam trash that nobody plays. That's like, someone just shit out
Yeah.
99-cent game or something, and then all right, now it's a 20 on Metacritic
Yeah.
or whatever. But it's like, it really, really frustrates me that because the game is a AAA game, it's
nobody
get
wants to attack it. Or
it's going to be. It can't be lower than a 7.
And it'll probably get nominations at some time in the Game Awards too. I guarantee.
because I think
Or
Unravel,
something.
This one, I don't know. maybe.
like I know you weren't a fan, Dan,
Yeah.
but like I really enjoyed Unravel. Unravel was like a 70, and like Unravel was like a game that like it was enjoyable. Like it wasn't the
Dude.
best game ever, but like it was an enjoyable game. I had fun with it. There was really
Yeah.
some really cool concepts and really cool areas. So for it to be the same score as like Days Gone, you're absolutely right. It's
Check
a weird.
out Below's Metacritic. It's like in the 60s.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Because there's something about it where like people
Just turn
that
it
are reviewing these games with numerical scores are like, it's got great graphics, it's a AAA game, it's gonna get a certain amount of points, and it's fucking weird, man.
Yeah.
It is so weird. I don't get it. But anyway, that's my old man shaking his fist
Well,
at the cloud kind of moment.
This game specifically, and I'm glad we're talking about it because talk about like the hype around it. When it first, what was it where they released it? I don't know if it was at like some sort of conference or whatever when they first released it.
I think it was at an E3 or a PSX.
But
or
like
something.
everybody, went crazy for it, and they started showing more and more, and then everybody's feelings started to like dilute. But even then, even if I went to GameStop not too long ago, and they had like this like poster, and it was like, oh, these are the best, Sony, exclusives, and it was like Horizon Zero Dawn, The Last of Us, and like Days Gone wasn't even released yet, but Days Gone was like on that list, and I was just like, that's really weird. Like the game didn't even come out yet. They're really anticipating this to be, the next best game ever, and I think in a lot of people's minds it was going to be, and
the funny thing is I think the game is selling really well, and I think that a lot of people are enjoying their time with it. I really truly think that. I don't think people were like super hyped and then they get it and they're disappointed. I think the people that were like, oh, that game looks cool, I'm gonna get it, are probably enjoying their time with it. I'm not I'm not like disparaging their opinion of it. I'm just saying that's kind of what this game is, and I understand why people would be like, oh, this is just a fun game, it's open world, it's cool, look at this horde of zombies, like whatever. Like I get it, but where we're at in the landscape of video games is like a game like this, it just doesn't fit in. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like games that are trying to be open world games are better at it than this. Games that are trying to be like serious narratives are
Yes.
way better than this.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? So
agreed.
it's like this game is kind of the odd man out where it's like, who is this for? I'll tell you who it's for. The people that aren't playing all these games.
right.
And they're enjoying it.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, wait until you see the sales of this game. It is selling very well. Like I know that it is selling very, very well.
Sure. Well, you think about it in this day and age too. How many people are buying AAA games like this to review online and stuff like that? Like these games sell.
These games do sell, but that's I feel like that's
anyway,
because they're promoted
you know?
in this way. Like I said, like,
Yeah,
That's what it is.
That
absolutely.
poster that had this game next to The Last of
Yeah.
Us, like these are the best Sony games.
And with a game like, what's the biggest release right now? But before that, Sekiro, right?
Right.
And Sekiro is not a game for everybody.
Mortal Kombat.
Mortal Kombat too. Yeah, that's true. But with two games like that, like this is now a different game for everybody. More open world, more in the vein of, I guess, zombies, right? What is
It is
kinda,
zombies,
right?
yeah.
It's
It's
zombies.
ve-
They
it-
call
no,
it the
it
horde,
is.
though, right?
The freakers.
Freakers.
Freakers, that's
they're
right,
called.
freakers.
And it's a
Dumbest
it's-
shit ever. What the fuck?
It's
Come
like,
on.
but you know how you were talking about like Katana Zero, like it is one of those things. The reason why I think Last of Us was so, I'm going to reference Last of Us because that was an incredible game that dealt with
I mean,
zombies.
we can see the parallels. You can talk
Yeah,
about
you know.
last.
So the thing is that here you took a concept that like has been beaten. We've been beaten over the head with it. Everything seems to be zombies and everything.
Yeah.
Obviously,
I mean, come on, we have like 7 more Resident Evil movies now.
but that's what I mean. So it's like just constant zombies. And Last of Us took that shtick and created something completely different. It's like seemed from what I saw, and then I did read some reviews and watch some gameplay. But from what I saw from my buddy, it seems like they're just doing the same thing over. So it's the middle of the line. It's the same thing. It's good. It's okay. But like it's the same thing over and over again. Where it's like, okay, so it's not actual zombies coming up out of the ground, but it's like a virus that was spread, and now people are sick. And your wife is she got hurt, so now she's being transported somewhere, but you had to stay back, and now you got to get to her, and it's just like, okay, I feel like I've seen this
The long road ahead.
Yeah, I feel like
Did
I've
you
seen
get to
this
see the wedding scene
1,000 times
when you were there?
No, I didn't. We were early in the game, but I didn't see.
Did you hear that quote from the wedding scene?
No.
It's
No.
kind of like
I haven't watched anything on this game, honestly, other than the trailers.
at the wedding, they're like
him
doing
and his
their
wife.
vows
His
or
wife's
whatever.
name's Sarah, I think.
Yeah,
or
it
something.
is. Because he has a nice Sarah tattoo on his neck.
Oh, is that his wife?
Yeah.
With a line through it that says "Second Sarah."
So they're like exchanging vows or whatever, and she says, it's not the exact quote, but it's very close to this. She says, "I vow, or I want you to ride me as much as you ride your motorcycle," or something like
Stop.
that. At their wedding, I was like,
What?
who thought of this shit? Like, this is the worst. This is like it almost
what?
seems like a parody of like a
Stop.
Sons of Anarchy kind of thing.
That's crazy.
What?
I gotta find the exact quote, but I'm telling you,
I want you
it was
to
that.
That's
ride me
absurd.
like you ride your motorcycle.
As much as
As
I
much
think.
as you ride your
That's-
motorcycle.
Her family and
geez.
his family, like in the flower girl. What's she gonna think?
But that's what I'm saying. Like, good for you. Like, you're horny. You're not worried about it. Like, that's great.
Yeah.
But that's just a terrible line.
Yeah,
like,
that's just bad.
Yeah.
Just bad.
Anyway, yeah. So while you find that,
In the presence of family and everything. It's fun.
I typed in "Days Gone wedding vows." Let's hear what
Let's-
this says.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, but I mean, basically, what I'm getting at is, I don't think like they're trying to tell this serious story. Like, that's not a tongue-in-cheek, jokey moment. That's
No.
like supposed to be like a heartfelt
Like, I
moment.
love
and
you
it's like,
so
what
much,
the fuck?
yeah.
Here, ride me as much as you ride your bike. That's what she says.
That's a beautiful.
That
line.
is odd.
Mwah, mwah, bellissimo.
Super
Ride me as much as you
Oh,
ride your bike.
I'm gonna use that.
Anyway,
I put that on my wedding
It,
vows.
it's easy to look at this game very cynically and say, hey, when we first started development 10 fucking years ago, what's popular? Sons of Anarchy and Walking Dead. Let's mash them together.
yeah.
It's easy to look at that cynically like that. But I don't think they do anything to say, hey, we're actually not just that.
Well, so that's when we've talked about this too. Like super self-serious games can be good if you have good writing.
Or they could be so unbearable.
But that's what it is. So
Yeah.
this guy, the main guy plays Deacon St. John, and he seemed, like, there are moments where I feel like you could put him up to like an Ellie or even a Rick Grimes, and you're just like, oh, like he's a cool, like, all right, like he's got his shtick, and like I can kind of relate in some areas, and then other times he's just like this super like angry, like way too serious for the situation where you're just like the writing is just kind of very jagged. And I
Yeah.
will say the one thing that I actually really did appreciate about this game, or at least what from I saw my friend play, it was only a few hours, maybe an hour or two, but you do get these audio logs that from like nurses or policemen from like pre apocalypse, and like those were like really well like put together, like those were really well like written. You kind of get some more lore, you kind of get to like what happened, and those kind of seem really, really believable. But then you have him just like over everything, just like being this like moody, broody, very much Cloud Strife-ish, and it just kind of, for my taste, I was kind of thrown off by that.
Yeah, I mean,
They do the audio logs in The Surge, too.
Okay, yeah, I like
And
those.
it's the only way to learn lore because everybody else is so boring.
Well, Days Gone is the same,
Yeah.
the same thing. And when it comes to open worlds too, most of the playthrough that I watched, it was just, you have a bunch of bandit camps. It kind of felt like, how like Skyrim or like even, Red Dead, like there are times where it's just like, oh, go to this camp. There's bad people there. They're keeping people hostages. Go and kill them all and save them.
Yeah.
The
end of Red Dead 2, yeah.
Yes. It gets, you know what? Open world is great when you do it good. And we've talked about like Fallout 3 where like there's like these really interesting places. But if you're just going to have this, ever expansive world and it's just going to be the same thing everywhere I go, it's just kind of,
well,
to me, then I don't see the point of an open world. I don't think that's a selling point if it's just going to be boring. Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, everywhere you go, there's something crazy.
I mean, I'm sure, I'm looking at the game from the trailers, I'm sure it looks great. It probably plays and feels pretty good and stuff like that. I'm not sure how combat is and everything, but I've read that like they focus on a lot of stealth stuff in areas, so that you're not being chased by a million zombies, probably. I heard the bike's a big component. I heard one thing that was annoying was constantly running out of gas in the bike.
So yeah.
Like that.
And like sometimes you have to look for parts.
Which I guess some people probably like that.
Well, it depends.
I guess you really have to
if the
play it
systems
to
are
feel it.
interesting.
Yeah, you got to play it to feel and see if it's actually interesting,
Yeah.
Because if you start running out of gas in the area where there's like a bunch of freakers standing around, you're probably like, fuck.
Well, that's what, and actually that did happen while my friend was playing. But like honestly, the parts and the gas are not very far.
Oh, okay.
You would run out of gas and then you'd only have to walk like a little bit and like you're gonna go mine.
The bike is super important.
But yeah, you
keep going back to it.
Yeah.
Can't just pick up somebody else's.
No, but you can. No, that you have your bike, but you can upgrade it. There's like a bit of a hub world at some point where you can
work on.
I have this money, this currency, and you can get these upgrades. You can make your bike faster or something, or you can change the decals on your bike, if you so choose.
Nice.
There's things there that like you said, Dan, like people will like this game. There's enough there that this is kind of fun. I can ride my bike. I can go fight zombies. I can go here. I can do there. But I don't know. I just don't think it's interesting enough.
Ride my bicycle.
Anyway, I think that's enough talk of a game that we haven't actually played.
Yeah, true.
And it's probably not very interesting. But I just wanted to bring it up and discuss it a little bit as to, I'm basically of the mind of, hey, if this game's $20 later in the year, I'll get it and give it a couple hours and see what I think. Because, I'm curious about it. I just certainly do not condone spending $60
for a full price
for this type of thing. So
after just spending $60 on Yoshi.
Yeah.
But different reasons.
I'll gladly give my money to Yoshi. Just always
give my Moshi.
My Moshi.
My Moshi back.
All right, I have two big games to talk about, and then I want to get to something that Shelby's been messing around with. But first, I'm going to talk about Imperator Rome. This is a game. I just had to look up the pronunciation of the word Imperator.
I saw that.
Because I wasn't sure if it was Imperator, Imperator, because it's Latin. I don't freaking know. Yeah. But basically, this is a game by Paradox Interactive. They're the guys that make Crusader Kings, Europa Universalis, Stellaris, like big grand strategy games, right? And the reason that I was interested in this is a lot of people are saying, like the diehard fans, like hate this game because it is an easier onboard point and it's like a little bit simpler. It kind of takes some things from Europa Universalis and some things from Crusader Kings and kind of blends it together into this like little bit of an easier to digest game because these games are like incredibly dense. So I read all this stuff. I was like, okay, I'm going to give this a shot because it sounds really interesting. A lot of like politics stuff. It's not just Civilization where it's like, if you think of a game like Civ, right? You have like a few options of what you can do. Mm-hmm. It's not like a huge open, all these different things can happen kind of thing. The appeal of a game like this and the reason why people love Crusader Kings and EU is because anything can happen. It's the same sort of, pulled out view.
You have your country.
You're governing a bunch of stuff, right? But in this game, it's literally like you have somebody that's at the top. You're either a republic, I think it's a republic, a tribe, like an organized tribe, or like I forget what they call it, or a monarchy, right? And so if you're a monarchy, you have, a king or a leader or whatever, but there's one person, and then they have their 8 like other big name people in their government, and then you have that person's children, and you can do anything from like, okay, my heir that's supposed to be taking over for me. And it's not even me, it's my guy, because you're basically like the all-seeing, like you're not really a character in this. You're just kind of overseeing everything. And if you're looking at the heir that's going to take over the throne, and he has like really shitty stats, like he's like, maybe he's like cunning, so he's good at like scheming, but you're trying to run like a benevolent kind of government. You don't want him in, and the next heir is like, awesome. Like you want this guy to be running. Like you can like do anything from like smear his reputation to like plot an assassination to like, but like all kinds of shit. That's what I'm talking about. Like the granularity in something like this is like amazing, but it also leads to a lot of confusing shit because you have so much that you can do. And like, here's how literally the game works. You pick a country and it's set in a specific time where it's like, it's like right at I think it's right at the rise of the Roman Empire, right? So you can be somebody like Egypt, right? They have so much land in like, they have like the river delta and everything. Like they have awesome stuff. They have like 600 cities or something that you can micromanage each one.
Wow.
And try to go into them. Or you can be Syracuse in Sicily, which is this tiny little country on Sicily, like a little portion of Sicily, and you can just build it up. And the reason this game is so cool is because it's like there are no end states. There are no goals except for what you make them. So it's like if you're like, hey, I want to be Syracuse, I want to try to just live out my life, like, change different stuff. Like you can get into just your country, be diplomatic, do whatever you want to do, or you can be Rome and take over the entire, country of Italy and everything, whatever. But the amount of different things that you can do in a type of game like this is just so crazy.
That's awesome, man. It's really cool.
It's
Can
really,
you rule
really cool.
the world?
I'm sure you could rule the entire world. But there are literally, I think, I saw a stat and I forgot it, but I think it was like the game simulates every it goes by day, but it's like super sped up. You can change the speed, but even at the slowest speed, I think days are like a few seconds, right?
Okay.
But I think it's something like every month, it's like 390,000 different cities are being simulated and like different things are going on.
That's crazy.
So it's like different interactions between like, because it has like the entirety of Europe, including like Spain, Germany, British Isles, everything. And then it has like Far East, like all of it, like everything. India's there, like Japan, everywhere. There's, like I said, Egypt, like there's certain parts of Africa. Like it is so widespread, and there are like 600 something countries that you can choose from. Like it is crazy, absolutely crazy. But again, the funny part is like people that play these games are like, why are you even like mentioning this stuff? Like this is like standard, like, like this isn't exciting. But for me as a person that's never gotten into one of these because I've been intimidated.
You do all these things, yeah.
It's nuts. And it's really, really cool to like, you can change your, like all your policies, like things can happen where like a general can become very popular because he's winning a lot of battles, and maybe your ruler isn't the best guy. And then if your general gets too much popularity, he might split off and try to like do a coup and take over you. Like,
whoa.
There's so like you could go through hundreds and hundreds of different
things
that are just crazy little interactions. So you're really looking at a lot of different things when you play this game.
Wow.
But
That's cool.
yeah, again, I don't know that much about this shit, so I can't speak that like intelligently about it. But from what I played probably 4 or 5 hours. It's just been really, really cool to just kind of dip in and be like, holy shit, look at this. So yeah, that's Imperator, Rome.
Imperator.
Yeah, that just came out, I think, end of April.
Cool.
Really, really cool.
That's
nice
on
and
fresh right there.
Yeah, it's only on PC And I think it's $30 or $40, but it's really, really neat. And then the last big one that I want to talk about is I've been playing Mortal Kombat 11.
Oh, rad.
I played Mortal Kombat 9. I played Mortal Kombat 10. I really, really like the story modes in those games because...
And they do follow a cohesive story, right?
Yes, this is a trilogy that literally each game picks up right where the last one left off.
Oh, 9, 10, 11 are a trilogy put together? All right, nice.
What I will say is I love the stories in those games because they're self-aware and dumb, right?
Yeah.
So I always talk about Doom 2016
Knowing
as like it's amazing because it knows what it is and it fucking goes all in on it. Like Mortal Kombat's the same way. And there's a world where they try to be self-serious in these games, and it just fucking sucks. So I'm so glad that they have really, really silly, dumb shit. You know, like this game basically, in the beginning of the game, it's kind of a time travel story, right? So at the end, the whole shtick is, at the end of Mortal Kombat 2, a time hole opens up, and they come out into our present time. So now you have like old Johnny Cage and young Johnny Cage like talking to each other, and it's so good. I have not finished the story. I wanted to finish it before this podcast because I could see it's like headed in some crazy directions. But I'm probably about 4 hours in. I think it's like 5 or 6 hour campaign, and it's been really, really fun. Like the story is really great. Like some funny, really ridiculous stuff happens, and it's also cool because not only are you seeing older versions talking to younger versions of themselves, but you have the kids like Cassie Cage and Jackie Briggs seeing versions of their parents that are the same age as them now, and it's like super weird for them, and they're like,
cool.
You know, really fun stuff like that. That's like, you know,
Back to the Future shit, right?
Yeah. But it's just silly and really, really fun. I also would just say I love the way the combat feels in this game, even compared to the other ones. I think this is a much more approachable fighting game compared to Mortal Kombat 10, especially. Mm-hmm. It's very based on like individual skills rather than like chaining crazy combos together. So, you know, I'm able to, I'm not saying I can play online and win a bunch of matches, but like I'm able to play through, you know, win some fights, go online, play a few, have some fun. So I've been really enjoying the game. The only thing I'll say, in the Crypt, there's this mode called the Crypt. They had it in the last two. In 10, it was like a very strange, like static first person thing where you're just opening chests or whatever. Huh. In this, they have a really, really interesting thing where it's a third person like exploration thing.
Oh, interesting.
With one of the Mortal Kombat characters.
So it's not one of the characters. It's a character you've never seen before. I don't know if it's just like it's, you know, generic guy because it's you or whatever. But you're basically going into like Shang Tsung's like, you know, like Air Island, right? And exploring the entirety of like all the different all the different stages and stuff. So you're walking around it in a 3D space.
Huh, interesting.
And it's really, really cool. You're opening chests, getting like, you know, costumes and stuff. There's actually like a little bit of a Metroidvania type of thing in it where you get like Scorpion Spear that allows you to like, you know, shoot out and pull something off the wall and stuff like that. Huh. You're getting like Quan Chi ability to like bring up some rubble and put it back the way it was so that you can pass through an area.
Ah, cool.
Like really neat stuff. And it's such a love letter to like the rest of these games. Like they really did an excellent job with it. The problem is people are very unhappy because of basically they made it so that the rate that you're able to get this stuff at is not right. Like it's very strange. But like for someone like me who doesn't really give it, like I don't need to get every costume for everybody. I think it's fucking awesome to just walk through the crypt and explore and shit. But people are very upset with it.
Oh.
So
that they have to do that in order to get the costumes.
People are saying it's very grindy. Like, you know, to get everything, it's like they really put everything behind this wall or whatever, and it kind of sucks. But you know, like I said, for me, I'm getting cool costumes. I'm exploring. I'm seeing all these levels in a different way that you've seen before. You know, like you have one vision of the level.
Right. It's all been
staged.
Yeah.
And then you can walk around. You can see what's on the other side.
That's
like
cool.
It honestly is really, really, really cool.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Do they have any? I'm sorry.
They even have some like puzzly stuff. Like like I said, it's like a little Metroidvania type of stuff. They have stuff that's like 3 handles to pull, and you have to have everything match up in a certain one moves these two, one moves these two, and one moves the middle one, right? And you have to like pull them all.
I thought you were gonna say you have to be like that guy with 4 hands in order to like
Goro.
open it.
No, but it's just neat. Like I really, really enjoy walking around the crypt and exploring. And on top of the fact that I really like the story mode, like this game is.
And you said in the last game they did it as like a first-person mode.
Yeah, it was strange. I remember. I don't remember enough to really talk that much about it. But I remember it being first person in the crypt, and you're just kind of like
Crypt with a K.
Oh yeah. You're just kind of walking around like. I don't think you have direct control. I think it's almost like a dungeon crawler. Like those old school dungeon crawlers where like you move forward 1, turn 1, like it's everything's split into 4s, right?
Yeah.
I think it was more like that. I don't remember.
Do you remember when they did that in ESPN 2K5 where you could walk around your crib?
I actually do remember.
You remember that?
Yes.
That was one of my favorite football games of all time. And
Yeah.
you had like a house that you could just walk around in first
That's
person.
awesome.
To go. You could just like go and check out your trophy
Your
cases and
MVPs,
shit
yeah.
like that. It was so funny.
I remember that actually.
You like walk in, some guy punches the screen open. It's like the crib. It was so early 2000s. It was like Def Jam. Remember that fighting game, Def Jam?
Jam.
Where it
Yeah,
was just a
that's
bunch
a
of
good game.
rappers fighting
That's a
each
good
other.
game. I
Like it
won't
was
do it.
just so mid
Def Jam, Fight
2000s.
for
It
New
was
York,
great.
baby.
Just curb stomp people.
Yeah, but anyway, that's Mortal Kombat 11. I'm really, really enjoying
Cool.
it.
It
And then
looks great. Yeah, animation wise, like
I mean,
this looks fantastic.
they continue to go totally overboard with the fatalities, but in a way that it's like laughable. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the things that they do to these people is just like so disgusting, but it's so over the top you can't help it. Like you know what I mean? It's like a really shitty horror movie that is like so gory, but you're like
just
laughing almost because you're like, what the hell is this?
This is disgusting.
Yeah. So yeah,
This is disgusting.
this one really, I for me, 9, 10, 11. I've always loved. I love 9. I love 10. Like this one, I think is the best of the bunch.
That's awesome.
Nice.
It's really, really
nice,
cool.
nice.
But let's end it with Shelby. I want to talk to you about your experience in the Dreams Creator Beta.
Yeah, so I got the Dreams Creative Beta after we talked about it last time. When you said it opened up, I was like, well, I gotta go get it. So
Now
I
I
did
gotta
that.
go get it.
Yeah, now you gotta go get it.
It is so cool.
It's. I'll tell you what. I'm almost done with all the tutorials. There's a lot of tutorials because there's a lot of stuff to learn, and it's not super difficult. Like you go through it and you're like, okay, like there's some tutorials where you're like, I could do this already. I know how to do this. You know. You have a ton of options that are so easily navigable that it's just simple. Like it's almost you could see the Little Big Planet.
Like DNA,
like DNA in there with the slightly collectibles. Like, oh, now you can use this. What I'm loving about it is obviously the 3D space. There's this one tutorial where you go to like an outdoor area where there's like a river flowing, a cabin, and like a walkway, and they just completely make it void of color. And
they make it void of color and
like
shape
animation and all this stuff, and they're like, okay, now color it and bring in shape, bring the river to life, bring light inside of the house.
Yeah.
And you're just like doing it, and you're like, this seems like it's gonna be so difficult, and it's so
it
simple.
just makes sense the way
It does. Like
they've
the
really
way they
made
do it
such
just
an
makes
amazing,
sense. Your
amazing
color,
interface.
you can change the color so easily. You can change the length of the grass and how wavy and stuff like it looks, and make the smoke a little more curly and rising. Like they have this comb tool to where like there'll be smoke. It could be static, like just stand there, or you comb it in a certain direction and then it'll flow up.
This is incredible. Like,
It's
this,
like it really.
telling you.
This game is gonna be something else. I'm telling you right now. It's like I know Dan harped upon like everything last time we talked about it, but this game is incredible, and this is just the early beta learning stuff. And
This
I'm
might
like,
be the game to end all games.
it's.
You know what I mean? Like,
It's the Uber game.
yeah.
But then like, and then I went along and I played some of the pre-created levels and stuff. There's a Cuphead level where it's 3D Cuphead and stuff like that,
cool.
and it's like, yes, it's in its basics, but to sit there and me going through the tutorials and then going into these levels and seeing how people created this, and I'm like, how did they do this?
Yep.
You know? And I'm like, is this the most perfect thing ever? No, but I'm having a blast playing somebody else's creation because it's incredible. And I'm like, I got to do something. Like, it makes you want to create something. And then the fact that, unlike just taking a shape in Little Big Planet, like, you could just create something out of nothing. And color it and make it look amazing and put grass on it and like just a floating aisle that you just walk upon, you know? And then the fact that you could take bridges and do like these animations where you just get it to like every 2 seconds they'll go that way and then come back, and like you can create
the animation,
a game. It's like learning how to create a game without having to learn how to code. You know,
that's amazing.
But this is what the cool thing is. You know, you talked about like animations. Like you can literally make an NPC, have them walk a certain path. When they reach a certain spot, they talk, you know, speak their dialogue or whatever. It can be voiced by you. It can be written in whatever you want.
Everything.
Like, the possibilities in this is just fucking amazing.
I played like a first-person shooter game too.
Mm-hmm. I played that one.
That one was cool.
Yeah, it's just it's really
When you
cool.
play other people's creations, is it like Mario Maker where you just like go in and there's like a list of like all these? Oh, you can try this one.
I didn't play Mario Maker. But
No, it's so you basically you can either search or it gives you,
and then there's like people
on the list.
On the list that they give you, it'll say like MM and it'll be a media molecule thing that like the creators of the game created these levels. And then there's a couple that are like highly rated from other people who got early beta that created levels and stuff. And some of them have descriptions that said like, oh, I got to play this game super early. I created this. I want to make it much more expansive and stuff like that. You know, this game's going to be something else.
Yeah,
so you guys touched upon it last time, but I forget. You buy the beta and then the game comes out. Like you have it. Like is that?
we don't know.
Yeah,
I'm sure there's a way to find out. I don't know. I'm assuming you pay another $30 and upgrade it to get the full game. That's my assumption.
But you get like you can create and do whatever you want right now.
Yeah. It's basically the finished game. It just doesn't have a story mode.
I got 2 more weeks of school, but I want to go do this. I want to.
You could finish out and then do it.
It's incredible, dude.
But yeah, I had the same experience. It's just such a like seeing how easy it is for you to do things that seem so hard with the tools they've given you is like an amazing experience. It's like,
and you have a lot of tools.
Yeah.
But like I said, it's just an easy like drop down menu right off the top, almost like on a desktop on a computer.
And it definitely it will get confusing if you create complicated things, but it's like that's up to you. Like you can really keep it simple and create something really, really cool.
And
like
if you've ever been in an editing bay, like they have a timeline thing.
Yeah.
Very similar to video editing or music editing.
Yeah.
And it's almost identical and so easy to do and stuff like that. Like you can create your own music.
Oh my God.
It's incredible. It really is. Like I had a blast doing the music tutorial because I just kept creating different ones, and I was like, "This is awesome." You like, throw some drums in there, and you're like, "This is sick."
Yeah, it's
man.
it's something special for sure.
Yeah. So I'm incredibly excited to see what it holds for the future.
Yeah. So that's the Dreams Creator beta. It's out now on PS4, $30. Yeah, highly recommended.
Sounds totally worth it.
Yeah. But guys, I think that's gonna wrap it up for this episode. Thank you guys for being here.
Thank you for having us.
Of course.
And thank you guys for listening. And until next time.
All right, everybody. Have a good week.
Peace.
Hey everyone, thanks so much for watching and or listening. Just here to remind you that you can find us by searching for Circle Back Podcast or Circle Back Gaming on any of these podcast services: Anchor, iTunes, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Breaker, Pocket Casts, Radio Public, or Stitcher. By God, I'm out of breath because of all these podcast services, but you can find us anywhere there. Also, you can find our video version on YouTube by searching Circle Back Podcast or Circle Back Gaming, and the rest of the videos we do. Thanks, guys.